Welcome to Preparing for Online Delivery, a video series on planning, organizing, and teaching in an online environment. I am Bree Smith, the Media Trainer and Communications Lead in the Academic Development Center and your moderator for these videos. I am joined by three of my colleagues from the ADC.
I'm Patty Mascaro, and I'm one of the instructional designers on the instructional design team in the ADC.
Hello, I am Luciano Santos, Faculty Development Consultant at ADC.
Hello, everybody. My name is John Cheeseman. I am an educational technologist in the ADC.
Over the next 4 videos, we will be discussing ways to set up your course in Blackboard by showing you the tools you can leverage for communication, collaboration, and assessment. In this first video, John will be going through the Blackboard template that's available on the Preparing for Online Delivery website. I'll pass it to you, John.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to step 2. So first thing, I'm just going to share my screen with Blackboard, and I'm going to go through the template that we're offering you to help organize the site. And to download the Blackboard template, come to our pod site and scroll down to near the bottom here, number 2, setting up your Blackboard course. Here we're offering other insights as well, ways you can organize your site. But the template to download is in this little feature box here. And there's the zip file. You will download this, and then also here's a video to actually explain the whole process to you. And by no means are you obligated to use this template. I'm just going to mute my camera here because I find when I screen share I get frozen. So you are now looking at a Blackboard site that I created with the template installed. So on the pod site, we do invite you to download a template to help you organize your course. And as I said, you're not obligated to use it. If you have another way to organize your course, go ahead. This template here is from our instructional design team. It's a light version of what we use in our online courses at Mount Royal. So our ID team kind of whittled this down to something that we can provide faculty to get ready for fall delivery. So remember, when you are installing this template into your Blackboard site, that that you want to install this into a fresh, brand new Blackboard site. If you've already been building into that, we have an opt-in form to add you to a Blackboard course that has this installed, so you can kind of cherry pick, pull out the bits that you like from it if you've already been building. But if your course is fresh and good to go, then there is an instructional video which tells you how to put this template into your Blackboard course. So the template itself, it will be this this main menu structure. On the pod site, we refer to it as the main menu structure. You'll often hear me refer to it as the left navigation. That's kind of how I've taught myself to speak to this. So bear with me. Main menu, left navigation, they're referring to this area over here on your Blackboard site. With the installed template, what we've done here is you still have your announcements area. That hasn't changed, and there's a little bit of always a little bit of prompting in each area that we've set up for you. We've put an important information area for you here. And in here, once again, this information, and really in this online world, you've probably heard me say this in many videos, we want to be explicit and transparent with our students, and that's the reasoning behind this template. So there are many prompts for you here. So there's an instructor area for your information. You just come in and edit and fill in over these things, how to navigate the site, delivery mode, so explain how the course is being delivered to your students, and the roles and responsibilities of learners, time commitment for this course. So these are all really good informational pieces that that work well in an online environment, and that's why we're providing you this information, this template, all the way down to discussion board participations and working online in groups, and general instructions for assignments, general instructions for tests, and grading guidelines. So a plethora of valuable information that your students could or would need in an online environment. And we like to be really thorough here because once again, you want to be very explicit in an online environment because your students are at a distance and it's not really easy to chat with people. So the clearer your instructions, the less kind of those management questions that you'll be inundated with as you move through your course. So this kind of hopefully quells that down a bit. We have a course materials area. This is kind of a type of organization you might be very interested in. So in the course materials, you have maybe general information about lectures, readings, exercises, etc. You can house your syllabus or your course outline in here. Course schedules and weekly task lists. You can include that there. If you've never done one of these before in your face-to-face class, you might want to consider doing this in the online. It's really handy for students to have a roadmap for your course as they move through each week, and really, you know, make it a roadmap for success so the students feel supported, acknowledged, and everybody's on the same page. So it goes back to that being explicit and transparent. Here we're using content folders on this content page to help organize your information. So often we do chunk things down by week in our courses, or we teach thematically. So you know, you can always change the name here to a thematic topic rather than a week. So just know that that's content folders are a way to really organize that information nicely, because you don't want your students scrolling a lot through Blackboard, nor do you want them to go on this like big scavenger hunt. You really want to be consistent throughout the site and make things, I don't know, kind of put on a design hat when you're organizing your site. Think about how many clicks it takes to get to things. And if students are scrolling and clicking, just think, can I present this differently or organize it differently? So a typical week one folder or a thematic folder would hold, you know, the following information. You could upload your lectures there. You can include readings, any sort of handouts. You can build assignment drop boxes or assignment information within the folder, or you can have quiz tests and exams in this space. So maybe you have like a weekly self-graded quiz just to track the students' learning and to kind of just follow their progress. So a bit of a formative assessment piece here, or maybe it's a legitimate summative assessment where you're actually, you know, here's the test, you know, evidence you're learning for this topic in this way. So that's kind of the structure, what would look like within a week. And like I said, these are just suggestions, you know, lessons learned. This is based on the literature, but feel free to embellish and make it work for you. You know, we don't subscribe to cookie cutter solutions to education. Every class is unique and every instructor is unique. So we want to honor that as well. We do in the template put a discussion board area for you. And what we've kind of already started 2 forums here for you, or offer to you in an online environment. One is Q&A about the course. So the reason why this is given to you is that we found that that this type of forum is very useful in terms of if there's a bunch of, if you're getting hit with like 100 of the same questions, what you can do is actually put all the questions in one spot so you don't have to answer it 100 times. So you can kind of build this knowledge base as you move through the course with your students, and you can answer common questions. And then we also provide a virtual cafe, and this is more like an informal learning space. So this is an area where students can post to students and really engage and interact, and you can also get in there and interact with your students and see what they're chatting about. So this virtual cafe is just kind of like this informal learning space which kind of promotes that community of learners at a distance. So it's one of these tools that will help promote that community of learning. Feel free to use it or not use it. I just want to mention here a common thing that comes up around discussion boards is that we need to understand, or we have to tidy up our language a bit around discussion boards. Discussion board itself is a tool in Blackboard, and really, you know, what we're getting used to is calling these things the discussion boards, when really these are called forums. So there really is only one discussion board tool for your course, and you'll go into it to create a forum. And you need to create a forum because that creates the space now that your students can go into and interact with. So just to tidy up our language, discussion board's the tool, and where we loosely always refer to like the virtual cafe discussion board, well, really it's the virtual cafe forum. And where that helps is if you need to get help from the sandbox, that language and clarity helps us as well. And also know that discussion board exists in 2 levels of Blackboard. I can have discussion board tool active globally for the whole class, but also discussion board can exist within a group. So that's another thing. If groups are using a discussion board within their group, that's siloed off to that group only. And so if you are calling for help and wondering about discussion boards, we kind of need to know, is that a group discussion board or is that the class discussion board, and which forum you're talking about. So, just tidy up the language there. But that would be the gist of discussion boards, and one way that you can leverage discussion boards to help reduce the calls to you and also help promote this community of learners. Yeah, so like I said, you can add more forums if you want for actual teaching purposes, and I'm sure you will. Discussion boards are heavily leveraged in the online environment. So so that would be what we're giving you, and feel free to add your own flavor to that as well. There's an assignments area. This is a really handy area. I really like what our ID team has done here. They've given general instructions for assignments that you need to consider when you are posting an assignment in Blackboard. And this nice tutorial for students on how to actually submit an assignment. Anything that you can help your students and bring clarity to what it is you want them to do is excellent. And then even a sample assignment area where they can submit and actually try submitting a sample assignment so they can get used to that. So those are pre-populated for you. And like I said, as you add more assignments, you can come up to assessments here, click on assignment, and that would create an assignment Dropbox. Know that anytime you implement one of these assessment pieces here in Blackboard, a column is automatically made for you in Grade Center. That's the assignments area, quizzes, tests, and exams. So maybe you want one-stop shopping for all your quiz, tests, and exams. So you could have a left navigation item or a main menu item here that would take students right to it. You might be tempted to put it into the course materials in a week folder. You can use your best judgment, whatever is easiest for the students to get to, and whatever is consistent. So as long as you're doing it one way, keep doing it that way for forever in the course. Don't change things up or move things around too much because that will confuse your students. But so in the quiz test, we have just a sample prompt here, and you can edit and add your different tests or quizzes via the assessments tool here. My grades area, that's where students will check their grades, so please don't delete that. They can click on that and get only their grades, not everybody's grades. The getting help area, this is a really nice spot as well that our ID team has offered, where one-stop shopping where students need to get access to resources that will support them in their education. So Instructor, that's where you'd put your information again. We link back to the Q&A forum about the course. We link back to the virtual cafe as well here in the course. And then if they need Blackboard support, so there's contact information for that for the students. If they need some resources from the library, there's information there. There's technology tutorials for students and other student resource website as well here. So already right out of the gate, your students have an area here to find a bunch of resources available to them. And if you have other resources, you can always add to that. You can always come up to build content, add an item, and add another resource. You can change the order here if you want. It's all up to you. But it's nice to already have these things right just going out of the gate. There's an Instructor Resources area here, and if you know, it's hidden. If you see the icon here, it's hidden from students. So you could actually kind of build out some of your own instructional material that you want to keep separate from the students, but still at your fingertips in Blackboard by using this area. You can come into this Instructor Resources, and there's already some prompts here and some sample things put in for you. But you can always add more resources just so you have those things at your fingertips. And remember, as long as it's hidden from students, it is siloed away from them, and this is just for you to use while you're in Blackboard. And then you can copy it out or share it out or however you want to manage that space. But just know that you can carve yourself out a little private area for resources. So that is kind of organizing and the template that we provide for you. And I'm just going to, well, actually, I'm just going to invite our panelists here, Luciano Santos and Patty Mascaro, to speak to this template if they like.
Hi. Just to emphasize that this is completely customizable. So we've tried to give you some good examples of ways you could structure things or the ways that you could be using Blackboard. But as John has mentioned a number of times, it is by no means prescriptive. Rather, it's showing you an example, and make sure to customize any of the elements in here to suit the needs of you and your students.
Thanks, John. And also to expand on what Patty mentioned, that customization, also ensure that you have within that customization standardization. So meaning if you create, for instance, content areas for each week, maintain that same consistency in creating those topics so that students know where to find information. That's one of the vital points in setting up your Blackboard shell, is ensure that your students can easily find the information they are trying to find.
If you've already started building in your Blackboard course, please contact the Sandbox, Andrew Reel at sandbox@mtroyal.ca, and you can request to be loaded into the Blackboard shell that holds the template, and then you'll be able to pull out the pieces that you might want. That's only if you've already started building in your Blackboard course. If your Blackboard course is empty, just install the template and everything will be fine.
That's the end of this video covering the provided Blackboard template. Be sure to join us in the next video where we cover Blackboard's communication tools. Thanks for watching.